Good morning, guys. Just taking the temperature a little bit as we're starting this Do Not Sync series, which I know most of you guys, I think, get what I'm trying to do here. I think most of you guys are appreciating the candid honesty of the troubling and tricky parts of this business. But I've definitely gotten a few comments of people saying, I don't know, some fairly harsh, critical things about me, and I've tried to set that record straight. But I kind of knew that was going to come along with the territory because you say some stuff that's a little bit uncomfortable to hear, and you're going to stir up all kinds of emotions. So I should know that if I'm going to get into this kind of a series, that this is going to, challenge some people in some major ways and kind of bum some people out. But I still think that's a positive thing. So if you watched the first two videos and you felt like, boy, this is not my industry, this is just not something I should do, great, because that's exactly what I want some of you guys to get out of this. I think a lot of you guys are maybe jumping into this industry without a full awareness of what's actually going to be in your future. So after these videos, you'll definitely know that. And I even had a couple of really cool comments already from some of you guys that said, you've already kind of relegated sync licensing to a part of your life. It's not your full-time focus because you realize that's just not in the cards for you. It's not something you got the time or the energy to do, or maybe you just knew it's just not going to be a big source of income for you. But you still love it because it keeps you creating music, keeps you relevant in the industry, keeps you sort of diving into your DAW on a consistent basis. But you also take the pressure off yourself. You're like, I don't need this to become my full-time income. I'm not really worried about it making a lot of money. I just love being a player in the game. I love the game. I love the hustle. It's really just a fun endeavor. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's a really great, healthy relationship with sync licensing if that's where it feels like right for you. So for those of you that, I think that could also be something that some of you guys who have been going 100% at this and realizing that it's just work. It's pulling teeth. It's just a really, really intense industry to be a part of. Maybe these 10 videos help you realize maybe not so much that you want to quit, but you just sort of take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit and realize that this doesn't need to be something that you're banging your head up against the wall and stressing out and oh my gosh, it shouldn't feel that stressful for you. I hope it doesn't. There's going to be times that it does, but if it's consistently bumming you out and consistently stressing you out, then maybe, just kind of going down to like a 3 out of 10 in terms of your intensity and your focus on this industry. Maybe that's the solution for you. Plenty of people decide that that's really where they want to go. And I think it's great. I'm in this kind of interesting situation where I am obviously pro sync licensing. Of course, it did great for me. It's done great for people that I know and many of my students. And I definitely want to highlight the positives of it and the excitement of it and the great things that you could potentially get out of this business. But I really want to make sure that you guys are aware of the downsides and how tricky it is and how hard it is and how long it takes and how little money sometimes there is in this business. But I don't want to focus so much on the downsides that I just start sounding like a negative Nancy and I just become very negative on the industry as a whole. So I hope you guys are not taking that from me. Some of the critical feedback I got, one person was saying, well, you're now backtracking. You used to say that everybody should get into sync. Everybody should do it. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And now you're saying nobody should do it or a small number of people should do it. And I'm like, I think you're new to the channel. That's all I could think of is because one of the first videos I ever put out was only 3% of my students are going to succeed at this. If you go back to my early days, 2017, I think, one of the first videos, and that's not the only video where I've talked about that. I actually was going through and I was like, how often do I put these kind of like sort of red pill videos out there where it's like, this is really what you're up against. And I was looking through my channel and it's like every 3 months or so, I have a video that's basically like, you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to do this? Here's a student who hasn't been making barely any money. When I had my podcast, I remember I had dedicated an entire episode and it's called Who Should Not, and I put capital letters, not do sync licensing or should not pursue sync licensing. Because there's a certain number of people out there and a large number of people out there that this industry is just probably not a great fit for. So, with this commenter, I'm like, I've never been the guy that says everybody should do sync. It's for everybody. It doesn't matter. I've always been somebody that says this industry is not for all people. It's not for all producers. It's not for all artists. It requires you have to crank down your ego quite a bit. It requires you have to have a service mindset. It requires a consistent hustle. You have to constantly be cranking out new music. So And I've said this industry is not for all producers so many times that it feels like a motto now for my channel. I just keep saying that. And then I remember having some videos where I had one where I was walking through the park, and I remember talking about how, and this is one of the most common kinds of producers that I think really should get out of this business. Like, really just realize, and it's not like I'm trying to like be the arbiter of who should or should not be in this industry, but I've seen this type of producer come and go in this business so many times that I'm trying to kind of scare that producer away from this industry with this series. It's the type of producer that comes into the business, throws 3 tracks at a library, maybe 5, maybe even a full album, and then does nothing else for years. 2 years, 3 years go by. And then they reach out to the library and they go, "Where's my placements, bro? How come I don't have income? I don't have any royalties. What's going on?" It's like, I want to bang my head against the wall. It's like, you put 3 tracks into a library and you expected something to happen from that. I have probably close to 1,000 tracks in various libraries in my career. And how many of them gotten placed? Well, there's definitely more than 3 that didn't get placed, okay? So at some point, you got to realize that this is not a sort of throw something out there, hope you get a hit, hope you get some massive, big, out of this world, huge placement, huge royalties, consistent income. Oh my gosh, because I put together that one album. That's not the right producer for this business. So if you're feeling that that was something that you could actually do in this industry, please, for this video or this series, get out of here. This is not, you're going to be so frustrated, and you're going to be causing problems for libraries. You're going to be that thorn in their side that they don't want to deal with, okay? Please don't get into this business if you think that it's just a matter of like a lotto ticket. You're throwing a couple of tracks into tens of thousands of other tracks in a catalog and expecting a miracle to happen, okay? This is about work. You got to come up, you got to show up, and you got to work, and you got to consistently show up. And I remember another video I put together quite a few years ago. I remember I was walking in the park. It was super early in the morning. I was walking my dog. But I remember saying that professionals in this industry do not expect huge sync fees and huge placements. Of course, every so often we get them. We get these big opportunities, and it's great. But it's not something that we rely on. It's certainly not something that we count on. We count on the consistent small number of placements that keep pouring into our bank accounts and keep growing with our catalog. So if you have that kind of tortoise versus the hare, you become the tortoise, where you're like, okay, I'm just going to slow and steady, keep marching, keep building, right? That's the mindset that wins. It's not the person that's going in and expecting like, well, I better get a $25,000 sync fee in my first year, or else this is just a waste of time. Or I better get X placement on some big TV show or movie, or else I'm a failure, and nothing is going to work out. And this industry is a big scam. If you're thinking about this business that way, you are certainly not going to find what you want to look for, what you're looking for in this business. So say hi to some of you guys. Isomatic, what's up? You're not bummed out. This is a long game. Always was, always will be. Cool. Yeah, I figured for most of you guys, this isn't going to be news, especially for those of you guys that have been subscribed to my channel for a while. This is not like new content. This is what I wanted to say to a few of those. It was only like basically 2 people that reached out with those points of criticism. But it's like, if you think that I'm changing my tune, you probably are new to the channel, because you haven't heard me talk about this stuff in various videos, and I've been talking about this stuff for so long. It's just crazy. But I think for a lot of you guys that go through these videos, you'll double down. You'll realize, this isn't news. You're not shocking me. You're not bumming me out. This is all stuff that I knew, or vaguely kind of had some awareness of how hard it's going to be. And I'm still in this, and that's great. So now at least you can tell yourself, I am fully aware, fully prepared for these struggles and the challenges and the downsides of this industry. And I'm going in with both eyes open, because that's really what I want to give you guys. Give you both eyes open. Eddie, what's up, man? Not for the income, for the passion and love. Very cool. Glad you figured that out for yourself. Brody's saying you also need to have a good sense of music theory, composition, and mixing and mastering. If you're missing one of those, you're going to have a rough time. I would sort of disagree with that. I have zero understanding of music theory, Brody. I definitely took music theory in college, and I use it that much in my composing. So I use my ears. This is my music theory right here. My ears tell me what works, what doesn't work. Now, that's something that maybe you can make an argument that some people have a little better sense than others. I almost want to think that there might be some component of that some people maybe are born with a little bit more of a sense of melody, a little bit more sense of just good music creating, whatever that is. So that's one of those things where you could probably make some strides in, but there's also going to be walls. Because I have some students where we give them feedback consistently, and I hear them get better. It's like, wow, you're miles better than when we first started coaching you. It's like, okay, you are coachable, and you're getting better, and you're on your way. Other students, whether and I don't know, I don't have the full picture because I don't know how much work they're doing behind the scenes, but I'll just assume they're working their butts off and they're taking all of our notes seriously and they're really trying to improve. I don't hear a lot of improvement, or if I do, it's so small that it's like you're kind of working at a snail's pace here. It's going to take you 5-10 years maybe before you even have something that sounds decent enough to throw at a library. So what is the element for that? I don't know. Is it genetic? Is it your background? Is it your childhood growing up listening to music? Who knows? I don't have the answers to that. But definitely having some mixing and mastering skills, basic stuff. I don't think it needs to be very, very complicated. I am not a professional, quote unquote, mixer or masterer, but I had my almost 1,000 tracks distributed professionally with multiple and some of the biggest music production libraries out there from my home crappy studio with an untreated room, basically my bedroom for most of my career. That was my studio. I slept in my bed, woke up, had my desk and my speakers and my little, either it was an iMac or it was I had my Mac Pro in the very beginning. Nothing professional, right? But it was good enough. And that's what I always focus on. Is it good enough? Will you accept it? Is it getting placements? That's to me what matters more, not whether or not a professional mastering engineer is saying, well, you're not professionally mastering that, so it's not good. Whatever, dude. Like, I'm making money, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm 100% self-reliant. So I'll take my way. GR Johnson, not bummed. Keep telling the truth is so necessary right now. Way too much lying going on out there. Yeah, and I don't know how much of it's lying. I think some people that talk about sync haven't been in it that long. I think honestly that's mostly what I'm seeing out there. I see a lot of these new, it could be YouTube, podcast, course, or whatever. And a lot of people are talking about it because they just got started with it 2 years later. In fact, that's something that I see very common from my students. Is I have students that come into Sync Academy, come into something that I offer. They get started to get into a library. They do okay. They get a couple placements, or maybe they just get accepted by a library. And then they go start like a channel or a podcast, or they even sell a course of their own. And they're like, well, let me show you how to get involved in sync licensing. I'm like, bro, you've been at it for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you don't have probably some value or some helpful insights to give, but you haven't even gotten really into the sort of real hardship of this industry, which is, I think it's like that 2 to 5 year range where most people are like, okay, the excitement's wearing off, the income's not quite where I want it to be, or maybe it's not even there at all. Should I keep doing this? Should I not keep doing this? That's where the real test is, right? You got to kind of make it through that. I think it's like the 2 to 5 year. I think 5 years. If I hear somebody has been through this industry for more than 5 years, I just immediately feel like a kinship of like, oh, I can look in their eyes and I can say, you get it. You know what this industry is really going to do to you. You know what it has done to you. And you've survived, or you're still struggling with it, or whatever it is. But you've been in this industry 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. You're starting to feel it, but I don't think you've quite gone into the actual depths of hell that sync licensing will really drag you through. So I don't know if it's so much lying out there. It could be partially that the people are just hyping up the excitement of it, but I also think some of it's just like, it's naivety. People just don't know really the downsides of this industry and what really can hurt. And yes, I do hear a lot of people talking about, hey, if you want to get your music into a TV show or a movie, just look up the music supervisor and send them your music. Like, we won't get into all that kind of stuff, but it's like, that's not, I don't know, that's not an approach that I would stand by at all. Zello, what's up? Secret Life of Dante, I love the real talk. We need more honesty in the world today. Right on. Glad you're enjoying it. Brody's writing a track for a custom brief right now. Very cool. He's talking about, not necessarily theory, but just being able to compose. I've seen some people take forever to write a track. Yep. And also being a perfectionist, that works against you as well, big time in this industry. If you're sitting there going like, it's not the best thing I've ever heard, it's not the best track I've ever composed, move on. Go do your artist music, go do something else, because this industry does not care about perfection, and you cannot afford to wait for the perfect track to keep getting productive in this industry. You have to move forward. You got to get your stuff ready to go. You have to consistently crank out stuff, and you got to get rid of this frame that the track is perfect. Eliminate that frame and replace it with licensable, which is basically good enough, right? You're not going to fall in love with every single track that you compose, and if you think that every track you compose has to be the best thing you've ever done, and you have to be extremely 100% amazingly excited about it, you have a very unrealistic experience or a view of what this industry is really going to challenge you with. This industry, really, you're going to have a couple of your favorites, but a lot of it is going to be work. You're just composing. You're putting out new tracks. Hopefully you're feeling something excitable about the track that you're working with, but it doesn't have to be your favorite one that you've ever composed. You don't have to be like over the moon about it to finish it. It just needs to be following the brief or the instructions or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish out of the track, hitting the mood, the emotion, the genre, whatever it is, and hit bounce. Like professionals hit bounce. Amateurs quit. Amateurs quit because 2/3 through the track, it got tough, it got tricky, not feeling like it, whatever. Professionals hit bounce. I have a buddy who, he's a writer and he's trying to write. He's always had to, like, these projects, different books he's been trying to write. And he joined a writing group, and he said he heard this one thing from one of the coaches in this writing group that set him free. And it said, professionals type the end. That's it. That's the difference. When you want to, like, what's the difference between an amateur writer and a professional? Professional gets through their book and hits the end. The amateurs quit. After chapter 1, chapter 10, whatever, they'll figure out some other reason to give up and move on. Professionals hit the end. What the guy didn't say was professionals write perfect books. Professionals write the most captivating book that's ever been written. Professionals are the best writers. None of that. Professionals hit the end. They actually get to the end of their book and they type the end and they print it off. Same thing with us. Professional sing live producers hit bounce. We are bouncers. So hopefully that could be helpful for you guys. J.I. saying your critics would run for a month and then ask why they're not being considered for the Olympics yet. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some fit into that category of like expecting the world. I have found that, yeah, most people that are complaining or being kind of like overly critical usually are not very extremely satisfied with where their career is, and for various reasons. It might not be entirely on them, but some of it might be because of that mindset. So, and I always try to not take it personally. I try to always think about, like, this is this person letting me know that they're struggling with something, right? And they're not happy with me because maybe I'm pointing out something that makes them uncomfortable. So I have to kind of I try to be my best version of myself and not get into kind of like a personal battle with somebody like that, especially online. It's like, I don't know what that person's going through. I don't know what they've been drinking this morning. I don't know what's going on with them. So it doesn't make any sense to get into a personal tiff with it. And the other thing too is that, like, I'm kind of going to stop. I think after this series, I'm going to stop trying to convince people of doing things a certain way. Like, I had one commenter that was like, I don't get why you're saying you should submit to libraries one at a time. You should just send your music out to everybody and just see what sticks. And I don't remember what he was trying to say, like why that was a good idea, but he was just like, yeah, I don't understand why you want to take your time with these submissions. Just throw them out to everybody, get it done as soon as possible, so you can get that deal as quickly as possible. And I think a previous version of myself, I would have tried to talk him out of it. Like, well, listen, let me tell you why that's not a good idea, this and that. You guys probably know why I would say that. But this time I was like, good luck with that. Wish you all the best. And that's got to be my approach, I think, for a lot of this stuff from now on. It's like, I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. Go for it. I wish you all the best with that. And sincerely, I hope you get a deal. I hope it works out for you. And maybe you'll be the exception to the rule and it squeaks through. But I am kind of not really interested in changing anybody's mind anymore. I think most of you guys know what the arguments are. You know why. But if you don't, you can search my channel as well. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of special guests here. We have, so we've got Trevor Llewellyn of Get It Done Music. What's up? We've got DK. For those of you that don't know DK was just on my channel just this last Friday. DK gave some amazing insights. DK is also one of these guys. You guys should go subscribe to him and check out his podcast, check out his channel. He's a truth teller too. In an industry, and we were talking before we went live, I said, in an industry full of bullshit and full of a lot of nonsense, he stands out as somebody that definitely lets people know the real deal about, especially for him, he's a mixing engineer. So you definitely need to go check out his channel, listen to what he says, even if, because he's not one of these channels that's going to give you like, okay, you got to EQ this way or use your compressor that way. He's talking more about the philosophical approach to mixing. And I think he has some really, really practical advice that really, really helps you out to get out of your own way. Because I think a lot of what he talks about, what I really get out of his content, is the psychological aspect of mixing music. There's a lot to what we do, which is psychological. And most of us are only thinking about the technical side. We're like, well, which EQ should I use and which order and how do I treat my room and which speakers should I use? We're always looking at the technical, but we're not thinking about the emotional, the psychological aspects of mixing music. So yeah, DK is somebody you guys should go check out. DK, I don't know if you can put your link in here, DK, but feel free to. I think it might block your link out. But for those of you guys that, I think it's called, DK, put the name of your podcast. I think it's Mixing Music Podcast, right? Or how people can find it for sure. And Yele, what's up? Yele's here. I just made Yele quit. So sorry, man. I do apologize for that. But you had a good run. You had a couple of years, right? And you have some tracks out there, so you'll be getting some royalties for a couple of years. So you're all right, man. Um, for those of you that want to know, what does one of those? I've talked about. It's like 3 to 5% of my music. Music. 3 to 5% of my subscribers have gotten success with sync licensing, which is one of those. Yele. Yele obviously I don't think he even signed up for any of my services, though. He just kind of found my YouTube channel. But Yele is one of these guys that fits into that 3 to 5%. Okay. So he works his butt off every single day. He's always working on stuff. He's working with high quality libraries. He's working with high quality clientele. He's posting. He's being active on LinkedIn. He's letting people know about what he's doing. He makes no excuses. He just shows up. He's just got a great attitude. And he's like the most available person I think I've ever done business with. Like, I email him and I get an email back within 2 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter day or night, anytime, which, by the way, Yele, I don't expect that from you. If you want to take a day or two to get back to me, totally. But he is always online. It seems like he's always available, and he's just like ever present in my life, essentially. So he's one that definitely is somebody you guys should be emulating and looking up to, because he's just got a great attitude in this industry. Okay Beats, I really need to jump on sync. I've been following you for a couple of years. You are a beast. Well, wait, Okay Beats. Wait till you get through these 10 videos. I might talk you out of it. You might get to the end of these 10 videos and realize, maybe this is not what I want to be doing. So I would just give it a couple of weeks. If you haven't started yet, you got a couple of weeks that you can wait on that. Make sure you get through, because I have some pretty depressing black pilling videos coming up here soon, including one of the last ones, which is that I didn't realize this till this year. I bet most of you guys don't know this, but a big part of what we do is we actually work for the pharma industry, the pharmaceutical industry. Yes, in our industry, that's primarily what we're doing, is we're getting attention for pharma. So if that sounds fun and exciting, then maybe you do want to do sync. But if that sounds really sad and depressing, then stay tuned, because I think that's video 9. It's gonna be a couple of weeks from now, but it's coming. All right. We got some trash talking going on in the chat. This is fun. All right. All right, Oliver, what's up? I got my first license quite soon, and that motivated a lot, and I feel sync is my thing, but I know it won't be that easy. Right on. And that can be tricky, Oliver. I want you guys to know that I've had some of those students that get into sync licensing. One of them is a DJ. He was a fairly well-known DJ, toured the world, and then got into sync licensing. But he had this mindset that was like, I'm going to go conquer that industry. I don't care that I'm not in it yet. I'm going to just go destroy this industry, and I'm going to conquer it. Like, he just had this winning mindset going into the business. And did that contribute to the fact that within like a couple of weeks of him just starting in this industry, he got like a $20,000 or $25,000 sync fee for like a cereal commercial that he made a track for? I don't know, but blew him up. He felt excited. He was like, okay, yes, I'm definitely going to destroy this industry. Let's go. But I caution those of you that it's for you, Oliver, if you got a pretty decent sync fee, or if it was just a placement, whatever it is. Sometimes the composers that get kind of hot and heavy early, they get some amazing, huge breakthrough placement very quickly. They kind of get this unrealistic expectation of like, that's going to keep happening, right? And then when 6 months go by and nothing else came through, a year goes by and nothing comes through, 2 years come by and you don't get another opportunity like that, that can really depress the hell out of you. It's kind of like you get high too early, right? And then you're chasing that high again, and it just doesn't come very quickly. So as opposed to the more common approach in this industry, which is nothing for a long time, just no placements, no consideration fees, nothing happening, and then boop, a little blip on your radar, you get a tiny little placement, couple of bucks, maybe $50, something like that, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So it's not like getting you super pumped up on it, but it's definitely giving you a sense of like motivation. It's like a little kind of like a little crumb, a little breadcrumb that kind of you can now keep following on that journey. So that sometimes is a little bit more sustainable. So just be aware of that if you get some massive, huge placements. I wish you guys all the best on that, but don't let that be something that kind of destroys you in the long run, So we've got some bullying going on from Trevor. Trevor, you better knock that off. And Brody's definitely in the 3% too, still working nearly full-time job at your other job. Right on, man. You're on your way. GR saying the chat with DK was fantastic. Shout out to him because he's because he bigged up EWF. Oh, yeah, yeah, right on. That band is my North Star. Very, very Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah, yeah, I forgot he was talking about that in our conversation. So, man, the one thing I do appreciate about DK is his fashion. He definitely has got the fashion game down. I've never had a fashion. I've never had a fashion bone in my body. In fact, I don't think I buy clothes. I really have never. I don't remember last time I bought clothes. My clothes just kind of get bought for me from like Christmas presents and family members, and I just have new clothes in my closet from time to time, and I'm like, all right, that fits. I'll wear that. I've never done that. It should be something I should take more seriously. But DK's got that down. I'm not even going to try to compete on there. Surprised that I know what the black pill is. Oh, I'm up on the black pill. I know white pills. I know red pills. I know the blue pills. I got all the pills. All right, we got Dante out with the pharma. All right, cool. Um, Yele saying just had a convo with Mike. I'm guessing you're thinking Mike from Reverse Play about how things have changed regarding the consideration fees in the industry. Basically, there are so many of us. There's always someone who will always say yes for free. That's true. Consideration fees. Yep. I'm part of the problem for that. I'm partly to blame. Sorry. That's the other reason why I'm doing these Do Not Sing videos is like I have a partial guilt feeling, responsibility for like I was one of the bigger voices that kind of spread the word a lot about sync licensing for the last 6 years, 7 years. So it's not just on these other people. I don't want to be like, hey, it's all their fault. I was the one keeping it a secret. Of course not. I was definitely the one sharing it. But I feel now that as I've been talking to Trevor and Mike about this kind of stuff as well. That it's just there's so many people talking about sync and getting into sync that it's like, oops, what have I done? What monster have I kind of created? So I felt a lot of responsibility for that. That I did kind of spill the beans a bit on this industry. So I felt like, well, what can I do about that? Well, let's see if I can scare some people out of it, and let's see if I can pop a little bit of this bubble that's obviously been forming the last few years. And I think obviously COVID was probably the bigger culprit. Let's just blame COVID. We can blame everything on COVID, right? Everybody sitting home twiddling their thumbs for a year straight with nothing open. Yeah, you're kind of going to just ask for that. I know that 2020 was kind of one of the bigger years for my YouTube channel and our community. We just had the most amount of people jumping in and subscribing and getting involved with sync licensing. I do know that was a pretty big year. I'm very fortunate because a lot of people's businesses went completely underwater for that entire year. But I was luckily, there's like, wow, sync licensing is still open. All of my services, YouTube channel, Sync Academy, everything that we were offering was all online. It's like, and everybody's at home with some free time. It's like, this is perfect, right? So very, very grateful for that. I've been reflecting on that a lot lately. That just like I'm really, really lucky that we were able to kind of like survive that, because I know a lot of people's jobs and industries and whatever they're doing did not, and they're kind of still recouping from that. So that's not a fun thing to be involved with. Hey Janice, working with Mybe and was doing okay, and then they changed their terms and added 2 more writers to all of my tracks. Now I'm getting sense. So depressing. That's a little bit concerning that they're adding writers to your tracks. Did the writers add something to your tracks? Did they add vocals, or are they just now adding new names to music that you composed? Got an eyebrow raise from me on that one. I don't know if let me know a little bit more about that. Yeah, and please, guys, if anybody is aware of some unscrupulous, unethical things happening in this industry, please always let me know about that. You don't have to do it necessarily in a public chat, but if you want to, and I'm not accusing Mybe of doing something unethical. There might be a perfectly logical explanation for that. So I want to make sure I'm not throwing shade at a company unnecessarily. I don't know. But if there is weird stuff going on in the business, email me. That's probably the better place to do it, because I'd love to do some research myself. I want to be made aware of this kind of stuff. And if it's something that I can do to kind of like do a PSA and put out a video, even if I don't mention a particular company's name, but I just say, hey, this is a practice that's going on that I think is a little bit unscrupulous. I want to let everybody know. So please, guys, you'd be doing all of us. You're kind of looking out for each other by letting me know about some weird stuff that happens in this business. So. Yeah, you knew that was my motto for the Do Not Sync videos. Yep, absolutely. Randon, you're bummed? All right. Well, maybe you were meant to be bummed, my friend. Sorry about that. You're saying they just added names? Yeah, it's a weird one. I would email them. I don't know if you've talked to them yet, but just say, what's the deal? Why are there new names cutting in on my writer share if you didn't collaborate with these people? I definitely have heard of that. I have heard of libraries adding certain people to writer shares that didn't write the music. And is that an oversight? Is that a nefarious kind of unethical, horrible thing that they're doing on purpose? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I can like read minds or know people's motives. That's not anybody's job. Nobody can do that. But definitely shouldn't be there, right? If somebody's name is on your writer share that you didn't contribute with and the library didn't tell you, oh yeah, by the way, we added a vocalist to your track and that's why you're splitting it, or by the way, we put this composer on your track, or whatever, right? If they're not giving you any of that insight and then you're looking up and going like, whoa, I'm suddenly splitting my royalties with somebody that I don't even know and I don't know why, big red flag. Doesn't mean it's a horrible situation you should get out of that industry or get out of that business or out of that label, but definitely worth a phone call, not an email. Get on the phone with people. You got to talk to people. If you can get in person, great. But if not, at least a phone call. MWin, should we write the same name of the tracks we post on music libraries with PROs to collect the royalties? Yes, but primarily libraries will register your tracks for you, M. So you don't have to necessarily worry so much about you doing the registration. They usually handle that because they have to tie their publishing company to your tracks. So usually you'll let them do it after you get your tracks accepted. However, what you really need to do is double check. Go log into your PRO, look up your name, make sure that those tracks do get accredited to you, and just like we were just talking about, make sure there aren't some extra writers and extra things tagged onto your track that aren't supposed to be there. So you have to do the due diligence of double checking that. But yes, they will handle the registrations, and yes, they'll obviously, if they read some libraries feel like they need to retitle your tracks to make them more marketable to their clients, and that's totally usually what they're going to do. But they'll register it, and then it'll be under their system, so you don't have to really worry so much about that. But you do have to do your double checking on it. Dante's asking, does anyone know about getting performance royalties from your PRO for streaming your original songs on Twitch? I don't know about that because I don't have anything on Twitch. I do have some YouTube stuff that I get some very, very, very little, almost nothing, and a couple of other streaming platforms I've gotten, but I've never done Twitch, so that's a good question actually. Maybe if somebody has some Twitch placements, they can talk about it here. Victorio, great series. I started because some of your videos and a mentor of mine. After 1.5 years of really hard work, I have a really great first BMI statement, which was over $1,000. Right on, man. That's amazing. That's really, really good for that quick into this industry, actually. With multiple placements, and I constantly see placements on BMI cue sheets, TuneSat, and my publishers telling me, rock and roll. So yes, there's some depressing parts of this business, but there are some success stories. And there was actually another one I'm going to share. Don't worry, after Do Not Sync is over, and after I've completely, hopefully, weeded out a large number of people, I'm going to dedicate a large number of videos to the positives of this business. I have some great success stories. Vittorio, if you can maybe email me, talk to me, man. Maybe we can get you on the channel. I want to highlight the positives as well. I don't want it to be just all negatives. I do want to finish off the series, or at least after the series, really go back to kind of like pumping this industry up and letting you guys know how you can do some great things in the business. It doesn't happen for everybody, but it's obviously a possibility. I had another student who saw the exponential growth of his royalties within a few years, and it allowed him to basically buy this little sailboat, and he's now living on a sailboat, which was his dream. It's not like he's homeless or something like that. He just loved the idea of being completely remote. And he's like using sync licensing, using the, getting the royalties and seeing this income has allowed me to basically live this dream life that I've always wanted. And I was just like, Jesus, that is awesome. That is really, really cool. Of course, he's emailing me as I'm releasing Do Not Sync. So I'm like, I cannot put you on the channel right now. Right now, I need to be in depressing, bum people out mode. But as soon as we're done with that, I want to go back to that really, really high part of this industry and what it can really do. Because that's obviously what I'm here for. I'm not here to talk people out of it. I'm here to try to get you guys excited about it. I'm not having full-time income yet, but I can see what hard work and patience can really pull off. So I'm really all with my body and mind to commit to the industry. Yep, that's what you got to do. Right on. Vittorio is appreciating Yele, always appreciating your posts and everything you're doing. So that's really cool. So Yele is doing more composing. He's doing an album with one of the composers from Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West from PlayStation. Wow, right on, man. Yeah, and Yele is also one of these smart. We actually just met up for the first time. What was that? About a month ago, Yele. And, he's really been looking at video games. He's realizing the video games have a lot of potential. Even though there's no royalties associated with it, the upfront fees that you could potentially earn in that side of the business are worth taking seriously. So he's a smart guy. He's going to the conferences. He's talking to the video game developers, and putting himself in positions to basically start composing for some video games. So he's got his head screwed on straight with this industry, that you can't constantly look at the previous and the traditional methods of making money with your music. So and also I don't know if I can really share the details, but I just got off a call with Jen Anderson Miller of Audio Socket. We had her on the channel a few months ago, and we also had her as a Sync Connect CEO. She's putting together a really cool series right now about AI and artists becoming a part of the conversation about AI, as opposed to when the Napster revolution happened. We really didn't have much of a say, and it took a tech company, Apple, to create kind of a solution to file sharing and MP3s and all that kind of stuff that was sort of destroying and eating the industry alive. So she's putting together some really cool stuff right now. She'll release the content when she needs to release it. I don't have anything I can share with you guys right now, but just know that behind the scenes, I'm also trying to be a part of some solutions for the AI stuff and where it's going. So I'm not like, even though I haven't made any videos about AI probably in the last couple of weeks or maybe month, it's not like I forgot about it. I am definitely very active behind the scenes, looking at AI, having conversations about it. So I'll keep you guys up to date when we have some big developments. So just so you guys know, that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes right now. All right, royalty-free music collective. You've gone down from making 100 tracks per year and pushing yourself to maybe making 70 or 80, which is a lot more comfortable. And also ditching libraries that have not landed me enough placements. Absolutely. I think that also is just going to be a great move in the face of AI, is not so much focus anymore about numbers, but really focus on high quality original content that you can really push yourself to do. If there's going to be generic background music created by an AI model that can be had for $19.99 a month for any client, we don't really need to make that music at all anymore. We need to really step out into the foreground and into the spotlight with some vocals, with more creativity, pushing our creative bounds, remixing things, adding new genres, really pushing what we can actually do in ways that we've never thought we could do before. And so that means lowering the quantity a bit, right? Not going for this crazy amount. I've been obviously coaching you guys for many years. It's like 2 to 3 tracks a week is kind of like your baseline you should really be thinking about, which sounds impossible for some composers. And again, you're probably not right for sync licensing then. You can get up to that point. You can learn how to do it. We actually have plenty of tutorials in Sync Academy to show you guys. It's all about shortcuts, templates, shortcuts, going for presets and going for sounds that work, and zeroing out all the sort of noise and distractions of having a million different samples and plugins you can use. But really just find the ones really work well and constantly going back to the same ones. That's kind of the secret for a lot of this stuff. But with AI, we're going to change that. We're focusing a little bit more on maybe 1 to 2 tracks per week, and we really want to focus on exceptionalism. We just had actually a Sync Connect session with Perry of Epic Music. For those of you guys that joined, you guys know it was a great, very insightful session we just had it this Saturday. The one thing he kept on saying was, good and average sync licensing music isn't good enough anymore. So if I listen to it and I go like, okay, that's okay, they're not going to accept it. They don't have any place for it. They're like, we've got plenty of that. We don't really need any more of that. He says, I want something exceptional. I want something that when you hear it, it gives you goosebumps. It makes you feel something special. It makes you come alive. It completely brightens up your day or changes your day in some way. That's where they need their music, the quality of their music to be at these days. So that's exactly in line with what I'm coaching you guys to do, which is not think so much about like, all right, just throw together another 10, dramedy hip hop tracks. Like, no, you want to throw together 3 extremely high quality hip hop tracks with dramedy elements, maybe some human vocals on it. Can you make a dramedy track feel like a pop song, like an actual, like a Weekend song or something like that, the Weekend song? You want to start thinking about your tracks that way and make them exceptional and jump out of the box and pop out of there. You really have to think about it this way. So we can't go into the numbers game anymore. We have to go into quality much more. Royalty Free is saying that his best library gets 10x the placements versus the others. Yep. And that's why it's always smart to have a couple of libraries you're working with, right? You never want to just throw all your music into one catalog. You got to have at least 2, maybe 3, and you can kind of play them off of each other and, just compare and contrast. So, but also remember that 10x, let's say that one catalog gets you 100 placements a year, the other one gets you 1, right? from the sounds of it, it's like, well, I'll just go to the one that gets me 100 placements. Well, what if the 100 placements are each getting you like 20 cents each? The other catalog gets you that one placement, but it was a $20K upfront sync fee plus royalties on the back end that resulted in $5,000 in royalties. So it's $25,000 from one placement. Then what do you do, right? Obviously, it's obviously about more of the income, right? So you might not want to give up on the 100 because it's like, hey, 100 is 100, and those might turn into more, and we might get into more lucrative opportunities in the future. So maybe you want to keep with both of them, but it's not always just the numbers game. You also have to weigh out the variables, right, in terms of the income of what you're making with these different companies. Yes, and I do apologize, Yelly. I said 2 minutes. Probably should have said 20 seconds, like you said. Yeah, 2 minutes is probably too long for you. You are very available, my friend. Very available. Um, Man, we've never seen so much crap talk, trash talk in the chat. I'm loving it. This is great. So, all right, guys, I've wasted enough of your time. I've spent enough of your time. So you guys go back to being productive, doing whatever you're doing today. Hang tight. Tomorrow we've got another do not sync video. I think that one's about it's too subjective, which will basically let you realize how little control you have in this industry and how little you can actually dictate how well you succeed and how well you get accepted into opportunities, into briefs and all that kind of stuff. So that should be a good, fun one for you guys to chew on at the end. So more stuff is coming on. I'll try to come on throughout these 10 videos to maybe just take the little temperature pulse on you guys. But so far, I like what I'm hearing from you guys. It sounds like you guys are really getting it. You're appreciating what I'm doing here. And it's helping you just like double down on exactly what you want to get out of this business. So, and as my stream is crapping out, I will definitely give in now. So you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you all very soon.